Hi everybody and welcome. My name is Bob Ells. Many of you already know and you've signed up to get an update on what I've been doing in creating this nonprofit. Some of you may not know that I've been doing this, but I've worked with you in the past and I just wanted to send you this note. So over the past few months, I've decided to do something I think pretty unique. I left my job at Europe. I resigned back in March. It probably wasn't the best decision. That was a great job. I really loved the mission and the work that you guys do there. Some of you on this video are at Europe, and I hope things are going really well for you. But I knew after my wife passed away, Karen Ells, and that's still so terrible to say that. It's been 2 years now, and I still can't. It's still so hard to mention she's not here. But I knew that I wanted to try to do something to support her and her legacy. So I'm creating this Alzheimer's Research Fund. So it's the Karen Ells Research Fund in an organization I've created called Alz Expeditions, or Alzheimer's Expeditions. And with this organization, it's about some expeditions that we'll do to go to see national parks. But it's also about the Alzheimer's expedition journey. Once you get that diagnosis that you have Alzheimer's, the doctors will clearly tell you there's nothing they can do to help you, and there's no cure. But it doesn't mean that you're going to die. You still have so much time left. And so we talk about that expedition too, from when you get that diagnosis to the very end. And also the expedition of a caregiver for Alzheimer's. That's a pretty tough responsibility, and a lot of work needs to go into that. So there's a lot of thought that went behind the name of the company, Alz Expeditions. But ideally, the cool part about this is we're going to go visit a lot of national parks. So Karen and I thought, we'd retire when we're 65 or something like that, and we'd go visit national parks. We also said we'd go down to New Zealand, and back at the early part of this century, when we were watching Lord of the Rings, we just thought, that'd be so cool to see that, and you can go do that in New Zealand. So we thought we'd do that too. Now Karen, unfortunately, she's not going to make it to retirement. So what I want to do with Alz Expeditions is we're going to visit every national park in Canada, the United States, Mexico, and New Zealand. Now, of course, Karen and I were never going to visit every national park, so this is kind of the extreme, but that's okay. I'm going to do something really cool, and I hope that you follow along on this journey. In just a minute, I'll show you some of the parks I've already been to, to use the word stunning probably doesn't even do it justice. It's been just absolutely amazing. But first, a little bit about that. So I had to leave my job, which again, I don't know if this is going to work out. I'm going to do it anyway, whether it works or not. And I'm going to go see all 197 national parks. But I don't have a job, so I don't know exactly how this will all work. And I'll explain to it. So I'll be driving around in an electric car for most parks. But not all parks. It's interesting. Like I wanted to go to Alaska, which I just got back from. And in Georgia, we have like 43,000 electric chargers all across the state. In Alaska, they have 188. Alaska, you can do a lot of things in Alaska, but they're certainly not setting you up to use electric cars to drive all over the state. But boy, it is beautiful. But up there, I had to get an SUV, then I had to take a boat, and then I had to take a ship. So, but I'll share that with you in just a minute. But so I left my job. I had to do a lot of planning, and over the next, just for the first 6 months, I'm going to like 52 different cities, all across the world, and with traveling and all that, you got to kind of adjust the schedules and the time zones. And right now, I think I'm 7 hours behind Atlanta time now, and it's like 2 in the morning, but I feel like it's 8 in the morning. So I'm still trying to equalize on that setting. And then I gave away all my stuff, And when I say gave away, I like literally gave away all my stuff. So my son Bo and his wife Hannah, they moved up to the North Georgia mountains, and they've got a nice house up there now that was just built like about 2 months ago. So a lot of my furniture, I just gave it to them. So that was kind of fun for you. You know, you're starting out with a new house, and you get a lot of pretty nice furniture. My son Zach and daughter Emily, they decided to move in together in Atlanta. So they both work downtown in downtown Atlanta, and they live on Hank Aaron Drive, which is about as center in the city as you can be, right across from Olympic Stadium there in Atlanta. And they're all having fun. I had to give away my dog though to Bo, which I was really struggling with because boy, we had such a good time. I mean, every day we'd go out on this island and we'd run around and play, and she'd get great exercise, I'd get great exercise. And to give her away to Bo, I was really hesitant. But he was very kind and said, yeah, I could take her. He's great with Annie as well. And but now that I've seen what happened, and they have dogs up there, and so Annie can go around and play, and that's really fun. And probably most importantly is Bo and Hannah have a little daughter who's my granddaughter, Annalise. And to look at Annalise petting Annie and hanging out with Annie as they look out at the sunset in this picture, I know she's actually in a better place than she was when she was with me. I tried to make it a good dog place, but I think she's even in a better dog place. So I gave away all my stuff. I sold my house. Some things I gave away, I gave away some things to folks who helped us in the neighborhood. So there's a handyman as an example. His name is Chris, and he just left me a voicemail like a week and a half ago. I gave him a refrigerator and a couple of pieces of furniture. And you know, I was trying to give everything away, and but he was so appreciative of it. Actually, listen to this voicemail, and you'll get a sense of maybe how sometimes when you just give away stuff, maybe you're doing more good than you realize.
Hey Bob, it's Chris Harkins. I was just gonna tell you, it was a real blessing. Give me that refrigerator. I gave it to my ex-wife, and they love it. They don't have to put ice in or the little trays and freeze it anymore and everything. And I was just seeing how your journey's going, and hope you didn't mind me calling, but I just appreciate everything you did for me. And I'll talk to you later, Bob. Hope everything's good, going good. I'm praying for you, brother. Have a good trip.
So I've been to 6 so far. Now keep in mind, there's 197 parks I need to go to in Canada, in the United States, Mexico, and New Zealand, and I've been to 6. So there's a lot of work left before us. But going to these parks has been truly a magical experience. I mean, just stunning in ways that I didn't even comprehend. I didn't even possibly think they would be. It's just been so fun. So I went to Smoky Mountain National Park first. And when I went up to Smoky Mountain National Park, it's the closest one to our house in Gainesville, Georgia. So I've been there a bunch. I've taken the kids up there. Karen and I went there a bunch. And I've been there, but until I went there this month, or last month now, I was never really in the park. But here, I just drove into the park, and I slept in the park in different parts of it for 5 nights. And now I know that it's actually kind of an interesting point. So I'm now homeless, so I've sold my home, I gave away all my things, and I sleep in a car. And that sounds terrible, but it's actually the opposite of that. It's actually really awesome. In fact, sleeping in the car, if you really have thought this through, can be a really great thing to do, because you're in the park and you just stay there till you're ready to sleep, and then you just go to sleep in the car, and you get up at 5:30 before the sun comes up, and people don't start going up there till like 8:30. So you've got from like 5:30 to 8:30 to really, really explore the park on your own. And sleeping in an electric car is actually really, really nice. For one person, it's fantastic. For 2 people, it would be fantastic too, especially if you had a partner. It could be really romantic. If you got 3, it's that's probably too many. But take a look at what it's like to sleep in an electric car. So there's 6 hours before they open this part of the national park at about 6:30 in the morning. So I want to show you what it's like to sleep in the national park while you're waiting for your next event. So I've got my car parked over here, and all the stuff that I had that was in the trunk, I moved to the passenger seat, which means I have the back seat all set up and ready for going to bed. And what you have here, you got 6 feet 7 inches of memory foam bed, and it's very, very cozy too. So you have, I got it from Sweden, and it feels just like you're sleeping on a memory foam mattress at home. It's really, really soft and cozy. So we have that there. I can edit videos, listen to satellite radio because you don't have cell service up here. Got my first aid kit here. So I'm not by myself, so never know what's gonna happen. So that's set. And then we got some toothpaste and water and some snacks over there. And mainly just for the next 6 hours, I can just take a nap. All right, so that video was pretty cool, wasn't it? And also when it was raining, it rained like all day and all night for 2 days. And I've camped in tents before, so I know what it's like, and it's actually really fun. But when it rains, everything gets soaked. The tent gets soaked, your sleeping bag gets soaked, all your gear gets soaked. But when you're sleeping in a car, you hear all the rain coming down. You can kind of see it through the glass window, but it doesn't get you wet at all. Like, look at this video from Smoky Mountain National Park. So one of the nice things about camping out in a Tesla is you can drive places in the morning to get some really good pictures and stuff. So I'm headed to the top of the mountain here in Smoky Mountain National Park. And as you can see, it's getting a pretty windy road as we head to the top. And there's a pretty good storm moving through as well. So that was magical. And then I went up to Shenandoah National Park, which was a wonderful facility, or I guess national park as well. They try to do on the East Coast up there what they've certainly done out on the West Coast, like with Yellowstone and Yosemite. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful place to visit. When I was there, I was also in Washington, D.C. And I went by the National Park Service, but I haven't spoken with anybody about what I'm doing yet. It is probably the most important, I don't know if it's the most important, but you take a look at somehow how we're divided sometimes as Democrats and Republicans and independents, and we all have different views on pretty much everything. But national parks are something we all can really support and get behind and enjoy. It's probably one of the most important things our country has ever done. It's just fabulous. All right, so I said I wanted to go to Alaska before it got too cold. So I flew out to Washington State, and I had to get an SUV out there because the charger system up in that part of the country is just not the same as it is like in California or in Georgia. And so I stayed at Olympic National Park for 2 nights. And what a wonderful place that was. And I stayed on the beach, and for 2 days I didn't see any other person. I mean, nobody. It was just me. And take a look at this video. It was amazing. All right, so then went up to Denali National Park, and with Alaska, you know, I'll take tons of videos and tons of pictures, which I'll put on this channel and I'll put on Instagram and the like. But Alaska is so stunning and so wide open and so beautiful. You can show all kinds of great pictures, but you just don't get a sense of the scale of how immense Alaska really is. It's just amazing. So spent some time at Denali National Park. Then I had to take a boat out to Glacier Bay National Park, and to see the glaciers out there, and to look up at how high they are, to look at the whales, like, you know, flying out of the water like you see in a movie, but they're like really there, and they're like really jumping out of the water. See little sea otters floating around and seals floating around. That was so crazy cool. And then I went down to Canada. So I said we're going to do Canada and Mexico and New Zealand as well. So I went to Vancouver. And Vancouver was a cool city. So in Vancouver, I got on a train. Again, sometimes you just don't have enough infrastructure to get to different parts of the countries, so you can't really take an electric car everywhere, but I'm going to try to do that a lot. But I took this wonderful train from the Pacific Ocean up into the Rocky Mountains. Met some wonderful people on the train. But I got to Banff National Park, which is Canada's first national park. And I thought, national parks are more of an American thing, and it'd be, America would have the best stuff ever. But I get to this first national park in Canada, and I was blown away. It was incredibly beautiful and stunning and magnificent, all rolled up into one. I can't wait. I'll have a video on that later on in October. And you're just going to love it. I saw so many bear and elk and moose, and the scenery was stunning. I also stayed in this hotel, and I have a lot of bags. I mean, I carry 7 bags around with me now because I'm going to, to Alaska and Canada where it's really cold, but then other parks are going to be really warm. Then I'm going down to New Zealand where it's cold now, but it's going to be warm later. So I've got 7 bags I got to carry around, and I went up to the 9th floor of the hotel. I was just carrying all my stuff, and when you got to the 9th floor of the hotel is like it's literally like a castle. And so as you start looking at the hotel, and then you go up to the 9th floor, you think you're there, but no, you got to go up a couple of stairs of a couple of flights of stairs, and it's like you're really, like if you can picture Hogwarts, and how Harry and Hermione and Ron were hanging out in Gryffindor. That's what this place was like. So it takes 51 stairs to get from the 9th floor to actually get to your room. 51. But boy, that room was fantastic. It was just magical. And I'll show a couple of shots here right now of what it's like to have a room in a spire of a castle. The view was beyond stunning. But you're also in a castle. So how cool was that? So we'll look at that video later on in October. And so then I went over to Vancouver, and now I'm on a boat heading down to a couple other places that you can't get to by car, and it's actually kind of a long journey. I'm going to a couple of different places, but I'll be on this boat for 28 days. So I think that kind of gives you an update on kind of everything that we're doing, and visiting the national parks is going to be really fun. But it has nothing to do with what I'm really doing. What this is a legacy for K&Ls and an opportunity for us to talk about Alzheimer's with researchers all over the country. So as I go to these national parks, I'll also meet with different institutions that are focusing on Alzheimer's and dementia research. So Harvard and Stanford and Emory and University of Melbourne and the Mayo Clinic. We'll go see them all, and you'll be with me as we talk to some of the smartest people in the medical industry today. Not about what the past is with Alzheimer's, because we kind of know there's no cure and there's nothing that they can really do. Even though I know so much more now that I wish I knew in 2017 when Karen got that diagnosis. Yeah, there's no cure, but there's so much that we could have done that I'd like to share with people. So we'll talk to these researchers. I'll also speak with user support groups around the world, quite frankly, and kind of share my story. And just as important, listen to their story. What I've been through, there's nothing special about us. I know a lot about Alzheimer's now because we had to go through it, and I want to share that experience. But I want others to share their experiences too. And we can do that with this channel, not just for the few friends that we made at Emory, but for a lot of us globally. What can you do, and how can you support a patient that has Alzheimer's? And what are some of the strategies that you have? Well, we'll talk about that on this channel. So $25 million is how much I'm going to raise over the next, I figure it's going to be 3.5 to 4 years on this project to get to all 197 national parks. And I don't know what's going to happen. It's, you know, of course, $25 million sounds like a lot, and who knows, maybe I'll get more, or maybe I'll just get a very small fraction of that. But I know there's a need for this channel. There's a desire, I know as someone who's gone through this, to want to talk to other people about what's working and what's not working, and maybe ideas that we could share together. And that's where this channel will be, for all expeditions. So later on this week, or maybe next week, it'll actually kick off with a YouTube channel, a website, Instagram, TikTok. Can't believe I'm going to be on TikTok, Facebook. So we'll reach people where they are, and we'll try to talk about strategies that they'll want to talk about when it comes to Alzheimer's. So the Karen Ells Research Fund, we're going to get it to $25 million, and we're going to give it to some of the researchers that we talk to over the next couple of years. It's probably not all $25 million to one person. Maybe $2 million to Emory and $3 million to Stanford. Have no idea what it's going to be quite yet, but we'll talk to the researchers. And we'll see if we can raise some money for them. So thank you very much. I hope that you follow me. There's 2 links below. Primarily, it's to donate to Alzheimer's research. Also, I do have a Patreon channel as well. Just because I had a really good job at Europe, I loved it there, and I left that really good job. So now I guess I'm jobless. So it's like, I don't know how all this is going to work. I just know I got to do it. So if you can support me on Patreon, I do have to eat, and that would help kind of get me through. I have to eat different than McDonald's. One of the things I'll do is go to different restaurants all across the country, small restaurants, mom and pop shops, and talk to them about how they're making things work. So if you can help on the Patreon channel, that would be great. I appreciate you listening to this video. We'll launch our next video. It'll probably be next week where we'll officially launch the channel, but I wanted to let everyone know who signed up for this. And there's about 1,000 of you. That here's what we're doing, and we're starting it. Well, we've already started it. And everything will kick off live next week. Thanks, everybody. Well, I think that went pretty good.